What is it like living in Bend, Oregon in the winter? After relocating here with my family and helping move tons of families in the Bend area, I've come up with a list of things to expect, how much it snows, some tips on driving in the snow and ice, a bunch of fun activities to do, and basically what it's really like living in Bend during the winter. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Carin Jackson with Living in Bend, Oregon, your Bend real estate expert, and we'll start off this video talking about the most asked questions I get from people thinking about moving to Bend, and that's, does it snow? And if it does, how much, and is it hard to get around? So every year we do get snow, but the amount can vary. Sometimes we can have a lot of snow in one full year, and you can see from these pictures that I'm going to show you here in a second that we can sometimes get something called snowmageddon.
Do you want to build a snowman?
But then most of the time, there isn't very much. You can get around most of the time fairly easily, and that's because we pretty much have dry roads. It seems like we get most of our snow in January and February, and it really isn't always where you can expect that we're going to have a white Christmas. Sometimes in December, we absolutely do get snow, but most of the time, like I said, January and February kind of are main months that we're going to see the most actually, where it's going to stick and where you're going to have the most issues, or where you're going to have the most issues with driving. I do recommend having a car that has all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. Now, I did have front-wheel drive for the first basically 6 years of living here. We literally just got a car with all-wheel drive. So it can be done. It's just a little scarier, and you have to drive a lot more carefully. If you are driving on the outside of Bend, commuting, if you live here for some reason and if you live here in Bend and you're commuting outside, like my husband does actually, he lives here in Bend and he commutes to Lapine 3 days a week. And in that case, definitely four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, it's pretty much a must. The main roads here do get plowed. The side streets not so much, and sometimes not in neighborhoods as well. And that, it can really be hit or miss on what is getting plowed here in Bend. If you do live in a neighborhood that has HOAs, a lot of times here they are included, so that's kind of a nice bonus for having some HOAs that you have to pay for. So you can expect that your street will most likely get plowed then, but who knows when. It's usually not immediately or not right away, so kind of expect that when we get a lot of snow, you may be dealing with that in your neighborhood. Another question I get a lot is, what are some tips to driving around in the snow safely? The biggest tip I can give you is to really just drive slowly. You just have to give yourself a lot more time to get where you need to be, and give yourself a lot of space in between you and the car in front of you. Obviously, there's nothing that you can do with the people behind you. You just have to be aware if they are kind of tailing you closely. I wouldn't recommend, speeding up to get away from them, but just be aware. Another tip, don't slam on the brakes. You'll lock those things up and you'll likely keep sliding. Pump them slowly until you can come to a safe stop. A funny saying goes, if you haven't ever driven in snow before, you drive like your grandma is sitting in the back seat holding a pot of chili wearing a white dress. When you come to a stoplight that might have an incline, don't stop on the incline. You're going to want to stop below it because traction is difficult and you can get stuck. This happened to me once, but luckily people are amazing in Bend and they will help you get out of that situation by helping you push up the hill. But like I said, just don't even get yourself in that situation, and if you do see an incline coming, stop at the base of it before you even get there. Another thing is, you're going to want to brush off all the snow on your car, everything on top of your car if your car is outside and it's snowed the night before. It's really dangerous if you don't do all of it. One, it's dangerous for you because the snow can slide off into your vision and you won't be able to see, possibly causing an accident. And the other is because it can actually blow off into a car behind you or in front of you or the side of you and can cause an accident as well. So do the extra work, make sure you get it all off your car. Another tip for your car, if you are unsure of how to get around, is to actually drop your car into low. It helps in the icy conditions, and it basically makes it impossible for you to accidentally punch on the gas and go too fast. You're also going to want to get all-weather tires or all-terrain tires or studded tires. All-weather tires are great and they don't tear up the road like the studded tires can. If you do get studded, there is a date every year you have to have them off by or you can get ticketed. We do have several winter courses that you can take to make you feel more prepared and confident. You're going to want to check out tripcheck.org before heading out. It shows current road conditions and even has cameras where you can check to see if there is any snow or ice on the roads. The cameras are really only on the freeways, so you can't check local streets, but it is helpful for those that commute in or out of Bend. TripCheck also shows accidents to help you avoid them and to find different routes. Next up on what it's like living in the winter, FAQs, is what are some events to go to and activities and things to do? Bend in the winter is amazing. We have just as much to do in the winter as we do in the summer. We have all the obvious winter activities: skiing and snowboarding, snowmobiling, sledding, ice skating, snowshoeing, and cross-country skiing. There are places in town that you can go sledding at. There's a couple of neighborhoods that you can go down. There's one that's called the Pit. It's fun to go to with your family. It's a little less steep than the other one that I'm going to suggest, which is Winoga. Winoga is kind of more for the advanced. It actually can be a little dangerous. Some people have really gotten hurt there. So keep that in mind. If you're a novice sledder, I wouldn't necessarily go to the very, very top your first time. But what is kind of nice about Winoga is that there are steps in between where you can, you don't have to go all the way up. You can go mid or, even like just a third way down just to kind of get the feel for things. But yeah, definitely check those places out if you want to go sledding. And then snowshoeing is super fun too. We did this as a class for my daughter's, I think, what was she in, second grade? And that was really, no, it was third grade. And that was really fun. We were able to go up on Mount Bachelor and walk around. It was a gorgeous day, bluebird skies, and you could really see all the mountains around. I'll show some pictures over here so that way you can check them out. But it was really fun. You don't have to be in awesome shape to go snowshoeing. It is definitely not like cross-country skiing, which is much more difficult and much more physical activity. Snowshoeing is super fun. You could go whatever activity level you are, and your kids can go too. And it's super fun. Some other activities include, we have lots of festivals and parades. We have Winterfest, but it used to be here in Bend actually, and now it is over in Redmond because they needed more space and some more indoor spaces for people. So because it is kind of cold generally when Winterfest is happening. So they wanted to have more indoor space. So now Winterfest is in Redmond at the fairgrounds. There's also the Bend Christmas Parade that's downtown. Here is a map for you to check out to see the routes so you can get your seats early. It's super fun to go to with your family, and then obviously you can go downtown and check out some shops, and of course there's the river down there and you can get some hot chocolate and walk around. It's really nice. There's also the Tumalo Creek Holiday Lights Paddle Parade, and that's at the Old Mill. And that is where you can watch people in their canoes and kayaks, and they're all lit up and to help celebrate the season. There's some more holiday events and activities. We have several holiday gift boutiques and bazaars if you're looking for some unique gift items. There's also, we have something called the Friday Art Walks. That's really fun, where you can go around. It's usually downtown. There's some other areas too that you can check out Friday Art Walks, but it's where our local artists can be highlighted and show their work by in local businesses around downtown. We also have some great plays that you can check out. Some things include, those plays include Miracle on 34th Street, and they are performed by the Cascades Theatrical Company, and then the Nutcracker. And those will be the Nutcrackers performed at several places around town, so you'll want to check out some online events, check out some online event menus to see where they might be at. There's also the Bend Community Tree Lighting downtown, and there's also a tree lighting in the Northwest Crossing as well. There is the Ugly Sweater Run in Sisters, which is super fun. All of the entry fees and donations go to Circle of Friends, which is mentoring program for children. And you obviously, it is what it sounds like. You throw on your ugliest Christmas sweater and head out for a fun activity, to help raise some money. There's also the menorah lighting for Hanukkah in the Old Mill District, which will be near the Hampton Inn. There are no Christmas tree farms here in Bend per se, but you can get a license and go out into the woods and cut down your own tree. Of course, you can always go to the typical places, supermarkets, things like that, where you can pick out your own tree that has already been cut. Another fun activity to do that will cost you very little, if no money at all, is just to drive around and look at all the lights around town. There are a lot of neighborhoods that really get into it, and you can make a whole evening by checking out these light displays. Some of them include, they're right off of Ferguson Road on the east side of town. You can also find some great light displays in the Northwest Crossing, Craftsman Drive on Aubrey Butte. There's also some really great lights in the Murata neighborhood. Another great neighborhood to check out is the parks at Broken Top on the west side. There's River Canyon Estates, Sun Meadow, also Eagle Crest, which is in Redmond, but they have an amazing light show, so you really want to go over there. The Christmas light display at the Redmond Fairgrounds also is outside of Bend, but it is really special, and I definitely recommend going to it. It goes from mid-November to January 1st. And ultimately, people don't know what they don't know. So I always get asked, what else should I know about living in Bend in the winter, and what is it really like to live there? There is a street called Reed Market Road here that can actually back up quite a bit, especially after a good snow day and on the mountain. It's what most people will use to get off the mountain after a day on the slope. So if you know that you're going to be in that area, need to be in that area, either try to get there before the morning or the afternoon when people are getting off the mountain. If you are moving here from an area where you have never needed to worry about winterizing your home, these are some things that you're going to need to do so that way it doesn't cause major damage. You have to have your sprinkler system blown out so it doesn't freeze during the winter. You should get this done no later than mid-November just in case we have an early freeze. Ice dams can cause a lot of damage. You can get new warmers for the eaves of your roof, or make sure to scrape off as much snow around the eaves as you can. Roof rakes can also be helpful. Make sure your gutters are clean. This is what causes the ice dams to generally happen in the first place. If we have a harsh winter where you get a lot of snow and then it freezes and then it melts and then it freezes and then it melts, at some point the water has to go somewhere, and it ends up finding little cracks in your home, potentially causing a lot of damage to your house. If we have heavy, consistent snow, in rare instances, roofs can cave in. If it looks like too much snow is piling up, you have to get up there, hire someone, do whatever you need to do to get that snow off before it causes major structural damage to your house. If you have a carport, be careful of those too. We used to work at an apartment complex here in Bend that had those, and when we had one year, there was like 2-3 feet of snow that started building up on those carports. All of a sudden you can start seeing how the carports were bending, and if your car is underneath that and it breaks, your car is going to be very damaged. You're also going to want to detach the hose from your house. If left on, they can cause your pipes to burst. They also make these styrofoam covers that can go over the spigot for even more protection. Make sure your furnace is serviced as well, or at least is working before it hits 15 degrees. It'll be no fun if you come home on a freezing cold day and your house is 30 degrees inside. You're also going to want to change your air filters, especially if you haven't done it since before the summer. We get smoke often here, and that can really affect the air quality in your home, as well as how efficiently your furnace and system works. You have to keep your sidewalks clear of snow. If you don't, you're going to get fined by the city. You can either hire someone, buy a shovel, or buy a snowblower. But be careful when you buy that snowblower, though. You'll possibly turn into the neighborhood snow remover. Bonus tip for the people who buy a shovel, it's awesome exercise. My husband is crazy about having perfect sidewalks, where he shovels the snow down to the bare pavement, and he says it's the best free winter exercise routine. Shipping and receiving packages during the winter can have delays, so make sure to get those holiday packages off a little sooner than you would have in major cities. It seems to get darker here a lot earlier. By mid-November, it is dark by 4:30. On the other side of that, in the summer, it stays light until close to around 10 p.m. You have to layer your clothes here. You could start off the morning at about 15 degrees, but then in the afternoon, it could be 50. And you don't need to have a full snow gear on all the time. Most of the time, you're going to just be able to wear jeans, a long sleeve shirt, and a jacket or a vest. It's really great around here, and it doesn't feel as cold because we have dry air. When you have wet air, you feel colder a lot faster, and it goes deeper, it chills you to the bone. Where here, it's not so bad. If you're standing in the sun, it actually can feel quite warm. Something else to think about when you're moving here is that actually in the winter, it can be quite isolating. Roads are unpredictably dangerous, and it can be difficult for people to come and visit you if you think you're going to get a lot of visitors during the winter time. In fact, just to kind of give you an example, one year in December, so it was early in December because it was my daughter's birthday, my dad was visiting from the Bay Area, and my dad, he was driving with my grandma, and he had four-wheel drive truck. He loaded it down, but it was particularly icy coming up here, and they slid and actually were hit by a semi. Thankfully, they were okay. Luckily, if it was like a foot farther from them, they are, in a different, they would have really, really been hurt. So now very few people visit us during the winter because it can be unpredictable and obviously a little scary. If you live in a house that has a steep driveway, you'll need to keep it clear so that way you can get in and out of your garage safely. Or even if you happen to be walking down, not just your car, but just walking out of your home safely. You don't want to use salt alone on your driveway or your sidewalks either, because it can cause a lot of damage very quickly, and you'll be paying a lot more money to replace them. If you have to use a de-icer, make sure you have sealed the cement. You can also pay to have a heated driveway put in, and for the particularly steep ones, it's probably a good idea. A lot of homes around here already have them in, so if you are looking at a house that is on a grade that has a steep driveway, definitely ask about that. You don't need a generator. A lot of people move here think that because we're in the woods or in the middle of the forest land, that you automatically have to get a generator and spend tons and tons of money. You don't. Very rarely in the city anyway. Like if you're living outside of town, probably a good idea. But in the city, we typically don't lose power very often, and if we do, it's not for days at a time. You will see deer in the city and possibly in your own yards. They come into town to look for food since the winter gets sparse in the woods. So if you are a gardener and have a lot of plants that the deer particularly like to eat, you want to make sure that you cover them up, put some fencing around them, because they will eat all of it. If you are curious about the different snow levels and what's some specifics, you'll definitely want to reach out to me, because some places get a little bit more snow than others, and they can be 5-10 miles away from each other. I have all that insight and information, so reach out to me and I'll take care of you. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel to get weekly videos all about Bend. I'll see you in the next one.